And the hotel people were like, "Oh, what do you need? Where you?" I'm like, "That's my dad. He's checking in for all of us." And they had to like question my dad if I was his son, basically, because they didn't believe that this white family, because my stepsister is also white.
What's up, and welcome to Nacho's Cafe. This is your boy Will, aka Nacho, and today is Talk About It Tuesday, where me and a guest will sit and talk about it, whatever it is, and that's what we'll be talking about. You ready? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you choose to listen to this, or of course see this when I have it on YouTube. Today, of course, is Talk About It Tuesday. And today I have a guest, not only a guest, but he's also my friend, which mostly they always are. He's my, well, not coworker anymore, but he was my coworker, who worked with me also at Levi's, but I'm not going to dive into how that even works because it's a long description. So
it's a weird description.
On the East Coast, you can't keep it short. Be like, what are you doing?
No, you can't. And even if you say your
title,
if you say your title, they get confused by, what does that mean? And it's like,
yeah. I'm like, I manage the territory with sales.
Cities for the company Levi's. Look it up.
Right. Please just look it up. Here, I'll even send you the link. What's your number? I'm not trying to have your number. I'm just saves me the time, But yeah, so not only was he a coworker with Levi's, but he's also a writer. He writes, he does, among other things, in his community a lot. And he's one that speaks his mind, which is another thing why we kind of clicked. And since then, we've actually always continued to be in touch. And he reached out to me about talking about just what's going on right now, and the current issues with the whole Black Lives Matter and the equality, basically, of it all. Basically trying to figure out what's going on over there on that side in the East Coast.
Yeah.
And what's going on the West Coast, basically in like San Diego, where I'm at, and compare, or just to talk about like what's the difference or what's going on.
I haven't even heard anything. What is going out there in San Diego? I haven't really heard anything from that.
Well, there's a lot going on. There has been looting in, I think it was like in University. I haven't driven anywhere where it's at, where there was spots where there was a looting, but I know downtown it's been very peaceful in a sense, not in the beginning, but all the whole looting and everything like that did take its place. The curfew is crazy. It's around like 7:00.
Are you guys still under curfew now?
Yeah, there's still some curfew, National Guard.
We're not under curfew anymore as of last night.
I think yesterday probably was the last, because I was looking it up before we connected right now. But because what's the curfew? But I've been hearing it's 7, but they're not like being so harsh. Because last week I was walking out and I was in downtown with some of my friends, and when we walked out to go see somewhere to eat, and that was like 9:00. I'm like, wow, you guys chose the right time to go eating, But the police were around, but they were just like, oh, hey, they're very, very nice. Just saying, do you live here in this area? Like, no, we're just going to walk this way just to get something to eat, blah, blah. It wasn't really, aggressiveness or anything like that. And just for the past days, too, it's been actually peaceful over here. And the police have been actually escorting, a lot of the cities in San Diego. The mayors, they're all for what's going on, trying to push that, continue doing it so your voices are heard, So they're really just doing it. I know in LA, it's worse, I haven't even looked
LA
more, but it's crazy over there where it's just really embedded,
LA, the police department there, they've used tear gas, that's illegal in warfare. So why are we using it on pedestrians who are peacefully protesting? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And even in like your experience with the police over there is great. That did not happen for me on Tuesday, because like literally, so the Monday curfew was 11:00, and then Tuesday, that was from Governor Cuomo. Tuesday was our mayor, Bill de Blasio. He put at 8:00, so like 4 hours earlier or 3 hours earlier, and it was at 8:00. And literally, we're still out protesting downtown, like in near the Stonewall, and literally as soon as it was like 8:05, the police enforced it. They're getting people, they're taking them out, you know, they're pulling them, they're handcuffing them. And basically that's really what happened, you know, when I got arrested. Was there was this one young Black woman. She was being harassed and trying to run away and escape from like these two cops. And she was like, you know, almost being like held by her hoodie that she had on and whatnot. So literally me and two other guys, who I don't even know, we like literally just formed a barricade between these two people and her. So she was able to run up and catch up with her friends. And literally all I heard behind me was, you know, I guess like the captain or the leader of this particular squad say like, oh, he goes and that guy goes, and pointing in our direction. So basically one guy caught me from my backpack that I had on and like threw me down to my knees, and I was handcuffed and arrested, you know. So that's literally what happened to me. But at the same time, I was held for like, you know, 10, 11 hours in prison. And they went to central booking. So I had my fingers ID'd and I took my photo. And they didn't even give me like what done like an arrest charge. It was like a summons for violating curfew. So literally, and they didn't even know, there was no Miranda rights. There was no phone call. There was no, they denied my request to go to the bathroom. So like, it's an unlawful arrest, honestly.
Yeah.
It's an unlawful, like, to keep me in custody for that, and to just give me a summons and to put me through central booking. And then to like, you know, I'll get into a little bit later, you know, a couple of comments that they said when they found out, you know, and this talks into like the whole privilege thing. And I have a question for you about privilege, actually. The whole privilege thing about like when they found out my name. And I'm like, you guys can't see me, but I'm a Brazilian guy, but I'm a lighter skinned Brazilian guy. So it's like, but I have a white name because I'm adopted. So it's like very, that whole dynamic is weird.
Yeah.
Clearly. Yeah. So when I got out and I kind of wrote this diatribe on Facebook like the next night about what happened, I had a bunch of people reach out and been like, you're doing so well, like I can't wait to do that and like, you know, get arrested. I'm like, it's not about getting arrested, guys.
Wow.
You know, it was,
I want to get arrested. Yes.
Right.
You know?
it's like it was an outcome that happened, but it wasn't the goal of what happened.
Yeah.
That's not the goal, is to get arrested. It was the outcome by what I did was something right in my head, fighting the good fight and protecting somebody else, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I thought, and I thought I was doing the right thing, and that's what happened. If I were to do it again, I would do the same steps all over again, because I know that's the right thing to do. Yeah. You know, of course.
You protected her. You helped her out. You know, it's nice to even hear when you say like these other guys that you didn't even know, you guys banded together immediately just to help her. You know, that's what this is all about. Like, to be honest,
that was like the only real scary part of the police when I've seen them here. And then when I've been to other protests, because literally the next day after I was out, I went to a protest like that Wednesday afternoon. I've been protesting like literally almost every day, or going to at least something, you know. But that was the scariest part. All the other times I've run into police, or, you know, they're whatever, they've been kind of fine, kind of complacent. Like, they're not. I've never seen a cop take a knee. I've never seen say anything. The only thing I did see was one time we were protesting on Friday night, and it was over by like the church, oh God, I can't remember the church's name, but it's over by Columbia University on the west side, on like 110th actually. And we were walking up towards 125th, and then they were going to continue to 145th. I live on 116th, so I walked up to 125th and I left. But we were going on one road, and we had to turn down another one because the cops had barricaded that street, you know, and they're not allowed to do that legally, you know, stop us from doing that and force us to go a different way. So that was like just two instances of where I've had something with the cops, you know. Mm-hmm. Other than that, they've just been really complacent and I've never seen anything change, you know, like not even in their mindset. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
It's just being so what I observe on the front lines.
Yeah. And how many days have you been protesting together?
So literally the protest started a whole week ago, Saturday. So we had literally 7 days, and then 7 days, and Saturday, Sunday is 9 days. And then today is 10. I didn't protest today. Today was like my mental health day. And I didn't go yesterday. So that was like my weekend. Right. Because like it does weigh on you a lot, you know, especially when you're seeing some of the emotions that come out from other people, you know. or you're hearing things from, because it's not just marching. It's also, I went to vigils, you know, for Black trans people of color at Stonewall, like on Wednesday. So that wasn't more of a march; it was just more of a vigil. And the one on Saturday, the one on Friday at the church started as a visual, and then we marched. So like, it's not just marching, but I was out there pretty much like 7 days out of like 9 days, like last week.
Now, has
not even 9 days in a week, whatever. I mean,
has any of these protests have been really, really impacting from just your observation? Like how different was, let's say, Saturday? How different was Friday? You know, like how did you see more? Less?
So from the first day of the protest last week, the full week Saturday was the first one. That one was really big, and it was big and it was monumental, but it wasn't scary towards the end, you know.
Good.
Whereas Monday and Tuesday, when everyone got up into their commentary at the beginning of the protest before they marched or whatever, that was really powerful. But then you could see a change in the atmosphere, because there was curfew, because people were essentially had already, at least some groups, I don't know, you know, already said they were going to, you know, riot or protest or whatever, because that's what already had happened that Sunday and that Monday in Minnesota. So they were just going, in Minneapolis. So they were just going to continue doing that. And then, you know, they're going to do that here in New York, which they did. They literally busted through the biggest department store in all of the world. Macy's got fucking trashed. Like all of fucking Soho got, you know, trashed. So they're like knocking down, there's literally like not one garbage can downtown, like on the corners anymore. They like remove them all down. Like, there's not one. And I didn't realize that until like I bought like a pack of gum yesterday, and I was looking for something to throw it out, and I could not find it for like 20 blocks. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. So yeah, so you can see the atmosphere change in that capacity in the beginning, but then towards the rest of the week, the atmosphere was not as high strung or high tense, you know, between the protesters and the police. But there definitely was in the beginning, for sure.
I feel like the cause is more loud now.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. Even watching what's going on over here, it's peaceful. You have the support from the police department, who are, like I said, escorting, making sure there's no cars coming in to get in the way, you know, making sure that they're marching from A to B. Because I know there was one, they started off, I think it was Ash Street, which is somewhere in San Diego too, and they ended out in Hillcrest by the flag. The Pride area. And so just watching that, I get teary-eyed a lot when I'm driving and I see that. Like I went to go pick up a friend of mine the other day, I think it was it Friday? I forget what day it was. When it was that late night dinner, and because we wanted to go all hang out. And when I was driving by, I finally, because I haven't seen it like in person. I haven't seen any like protesters or anything like wherever I'm driving. And so when I saw it, I was so happy, you know, and I'm just blowing my horn, waving my hand out, you know, it's just like, yes, you know, it was so good. And you know, the thing is that I think what really means a lot is that I'm seeing non-people of color out there, and it means a lot, you know, it's like they get it.
Absolutely. And I think that's honestly what people of color need to see is the people who already have the inherent privilege out there, you know?
Yeah.
Or at least knowing that they're doing something, whether it's the friend, they know, hey, that person can't go out, but that's my friend and she's posting or she donated or something like that, you know? Like, so that's what I think people really need to see, is that you are putting an effort in whatever way you can, you know? Yeah. So that's why I said earlier to you, like, or to anybody, don't feel like you're not doing the best you can, or you're doing less than because you're not physically on the front lines protesting or going to vigils or whatever. If you the mental stress is too much for you, that's overwhelming, don't go. You know, there's so many other ways to do that. You can donate to different, you know, food banks and shelters and all that stuff. You can, or even just post about, you know, your knowledge and acceptance of whatever privilege you might have and how you're going to understand it and better yourself or learn and educate. Or you can like post numbers for the protesters for like legal aids and whatnot and bailout funds and all that stuff, you know, like just got to send more information out there. So yeah.
Now, I feel like I know this answer, but are there other events that you've protested with?
I protested. Well, this is really silly, but it also like, so it's funny. In my younger days, I was a lot more all action and talk later, you know, basically. So it got me a lot of trouble. But there was something happening. There's something happening in my college, and that's really where I started, like being more into activism, I guess. Something was happening, and they were going to allow this person to be on campus to promote something that wasn't right in the eyes of the LGBT community that we had. And it was also like denouncing, you know, the rights that we had acquired for us, basically. So we kind of protested that. And that's really where I thought, like, you know, I was more in protesting in a very harsh tone. Mm-hmm. When I also have to understand, and what I did learn the hard way, is that person also has his freedom of speech as well, you know? Yeah. So you can protest, but you also have to understand there's also going to be a debate and discussion. Even with Black Lives Matter, there's going to be a debate and discussion, you know?
Of course.
How are you going to change systematic, you know, racism? Protesting is you're getting the message out there that you are angry about this, you want it changed. The next step is having those elected officials go out and vote people, so the right people can actually take care of this, because the person, that man that's in that fucking building, like, we will not say his name. Orange motherfucker.
Don't give it life.
Right. Don't give it life. Like, he is not for the benefit of anybody. So you need to go out and vote. And then those new people, hopefully they're people who are actually on our side, can, you know, sit down, have the discussions, and how we're going to fix the system. Right. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I started really using my freedom of speech in college, basically. And then I just
kind of somewhere though. You gotta start somewhere, because so you can know how to evolve it.
Yeah.
So it's good that you started then, and then look at you now. Have more meaning and more purpose to it.
Right. I probably have a phone call at like 7:00 with Marty Gold Cummings, who is also a huge organizer of a bunch of protests and a bunch of vigils. And he also organized the vigil when the Pulse happened. We had a huge vigil outside Stonewall. We had a huge vigil outside Stonewall where we had different speakers that he organized, and Peppermint from RuPaul's Drag Race was there, and they've been friends for years. So, because Marty Gold Cummings is a nightlife performer in the drag scene here, but he's also on he's also on the nightlife council for the mayor. Mm-hmm. He's also running for his district, councilman seat right now. So he's really a huge activist who I look up to. So I'm helping him out with another protest that's happening, I think, on Wednesday. And like I said, my roommate, he organized a protest for last Thursday on honoring their birthdays, and everyone who came to that protest was really decked out in, like, you know, suits, or at least a shirt and a tie, and it was a different type of protest than what you're seeing on TVs with, like, you know, the two people fighting. You know, this was more about celebration of, like, this is their birthday, let's honor it by dressing well and marching for them, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that was really nice.
Have you had any this is crazy, it just popped in my head right now.
Yeah.
Have you had any incidents or on the news, because this has happened over here, okay? There was an incident at Vaughn's. A guy was spotted with a Ku Klux hoodie thing on, and he says that, you know, he didn't, his intentions wasn't, you know, to have that on.
Right.
shopping around in Vaughn. Someone took a picture, and I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Are you
Oh my
serious?
God.
Are you serious?" And so it was to protect myself. My intention is like, you know what that is, so don't act stupid. Like, and then of course no charges. I mean, he wasn't being violent, but he's like testing the waters.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
and there's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people who test the waters. You know.
Oh yeah.
Even with so I haven't really experienced it on the front lines myself, seen it, but you see all these videos of looters and the rioters. And let's not get this wrong, the ones protesting, they are not looters and rioters.
Right.
The ones who are looting and rioting are the looters and rioters.
Right, right.
And who generally, from what I have seen, is from the white people who are not using this to anyone's benefit. Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
I understand.
When I seen it.
I understand, and like I told everybody this, like you have to understand. Like I said, protesters are protesters, losing rioters. But you also can't say that they shouldn't,
Yeah. And
turn over a garbage can or the property damage, because they're angry and they're upset and they're overwhelmed and they're exhausted from just being, already walking out of their house and already judged, and already predetermined and all this stuff. They're over it, and there's no justice for them. So how they choose to react and handle with their pain and their anger, you don't have any right. I don't have any right. No one has a right to say that's wrong,
That's right.
What I can say is that it's a shame it had to get to that for anyone to do or say something, because all the other peaceful protests and the other peaceful sit-ins and walkouts and demonstrations have all fallen on deaf ears in our government,
Yeah.
So it had to get to a point where it's like literally like going crazy that they had to whatever.
Right. Yeah. It's just and it's crazy, because I think before when we had the first situation with the Black Lives Matter, I was like, trying to be the mediator, trying to see like, oh, well, we shouldn't be acting like that, Right. But when this came around, just something snapped, and I was just like, oh, forget it. No, it is what it is. It's like that can be replaced. You can't replace the life.
It couldn't. This movement could not have come at almost like a better time.
Yeah.
Because you also have people coming off of like being trapped in their home for almost 3 months of quarantine. COVID just exacerbated all of their emotions of like not even able to go outside, not getting an actual paycheck, for some people, like not being able to pay rent. They're already frustrated with that. And now you put, oh my God, they're killing another one of my brethren. I'm fucking over it. I'm livid. I'm that just made it like so much more intense.
Yeah. it honestly, I think it was all that built up and it was time to scream. And so here it is. Here it is.
Absolutely.
You ain't going to put us back inside. Curfew? We're running over you. I mean, that's a lot of people. And I'm like, it really touches me. Because when I look at, and the fact that all 50 states, the world, it's like, this is global.
All 50 states, and I think it was like something like 18 different countries as well, who are protesting, and they're overseas,
Exactly.
They have nothing to do with our government.
Nothing.
That's amazing. That
it is. Like, if they can see it, what is going on?
This is the biggest global movement.
It is
for Black Lives Matter. It's awesome.
Yeah, it still gives me chills, and it still just I just smile when I'm like looking at social media. I'm just like, wow.
I wanted to ask you was you posted something on I think it was your birthday.
Yes.
Did you paraphrase what you posted basically? Go ahead.
So what I was on there, because that morning I literally cried in the morning when I woke up. On my birthday, I literally was just like, I cried hard.
Because you got older?
Huh?
Listen,
okay.
That's just how we joke, people, okay?
Like, I made another year, I'm getting older, 34, what the hell? No. I just was like overwhelmed, because like that whole weekend, I was going through so many emotions. I didn't do a Friday because I was just acting out in anger. My podcast, I was like, no, I'm just not gonna do it, because I mean, I had one already ready, but it was really not nice at all. And then I really, that when that came to that Saturday, because I was so angry on Friday, and then Saturday, you know, when I get really, really angry, I automatically flip to complete sadness. And so that's what happened when I woke up. I literally was crying. And when I said in the beginning part of it, of, you know, when I was a kid, I used to pray God to just take me out because it was a cruel world. And I was just being bullied then, you know, about being gay and all that. And then now my skin color, which I cannot escape from, and now it's a huge problem. I mean, like, why do you have to treat us this way? And then it's like, can I go out there driving without fear? You know, It's like my window's not even tinted and someone might misunderstand something. Oh my gosh, he's that one who stole, just because I fit the description. And it happens all the time. You know, I can't call the police and say, I'm a black guy in America and this white fool is like, you know, harassing me. They're going to be like, well, is he,
what did you do?
You know, like, but if it's someone else, I'm a white woman and I'm being harassed by this African-American, they jump. Why? You know, you should jump, period, because you're citizens who are paying taxes just like you, you know, have a right. So as I moved into it, because
just going back to like these white women or people or men or whoever may call the police and like just say that they're attacking me. It's so funny how like that's already what they say first.
In their mind.
They even threaten you first before they even call the police. It's like, I'm gonna call the police and say that you threaten me if you don't stop or you don't do whatever.
Exactly.
Like they already use that as a tactic, as intimidation, just between you and them. Like this is crazy.
Right.
That's crazy. Anyway.
And so because I'm always trying to be a Mr. Connector. Like I like to connect things and try to find a way to make it as peaceful or whatnot, but I understand what's going on, the craziness. But when I was saying, like, you guys need to listen to us. I mean, you put this badge and uniform on, and that's a choice. Okay, that's a choice, you know, to do that. And I'm sure you have a conscience in your mind, right? Or are you always going to do what so-and-so says?
Literally, it's harder. It's harder in America to become a hairdresser or a barber because of all the schooling you have to go through than it is to become a cop in America.
Right.
And honestly, going forward to fix this, every single person who has a badge or who's going to go into the police academy or whatever, they need to already have a degree prior from a different institution, so it's not biased, something in criminal justice, something in sociology.
I was just about to say that, sociology, you better do a sociology class.
Absolutely. And maybe even a master's degree, because
something.
fuck this, you know?
Yeah. Like, you need to be
so
educated.
They understand. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how you also weed out the ones who are already inherently, you know, just racist.
Yeah. Because you won't, like, one of the things too I know I put in there was the whole box situation where you put everybody in a box, like on applications. I'm black, but I can't be Mexican. Like, I can't be. Like, it's like African, but not Latino. I'm like, well, then I'm proud of who I am. So why do I have to? I'm like, well, it's going to have to be other because you don't have a box for me. So, and why does that even matter? Because when I was growing up, it wasn't a problem. It was like, I'm proud. Oh, I'm proud. You know, I'm black. You know? But then as I grew up, and just really seeing the human race, I'm like, why does that even matter? And I realized, like, you're trying to count how many of this and this and this that you have. Like the whole census thing. They're trying to make sure they keep tabs on, well, how many Mexicans are over there? How many blacks are over there? How many Asians and all down the line? You know, why is that important? You know what I mean? Like, that's my big question. It's like, why are you trying to put us in a box? Like, those are the blacks and those. Why does it even matter? If we really are equality, if we really are, you know, we're all human, then why does it matter when I'm applying for a job what I am?
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? It should be male and my name and my social security number, period. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make no freaking sense to me why that even matters. So I would vote to get that freaking out the way, because until that's gone, then people are going to start realizing that if we are people of just people, because I bleed red. Do you bleed red?
Of course.
So, I mean, I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Just like a police officer, when they get cut, do they bleed blue? And I don't think so.
Right.
They bleed red. So it's like, yo, you're looking at me. What are you scared about? I'm more scared of you. And you guys would hang around the tree when you hung like 2 black guys. Like, it's okay. Like, really? And then you're making a big deal about, no, this is you. This is history. So it hasn't changed. So make a change. You put that badge on. I can't change this. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't know. So what I say as everybody, because since you're all talking about all, how about all y'all sit around and listen to every citizen, I don't care how long it goes, and have them speak. Like I said, there's going to be people who are mad. They're going to not make no sense. It is what it is. Y'all in a lot of the uniform and stuff don't make no sense either, what you're doing. So you need to listen to the ones who don't make no sense and the ones who have a word, something to say, a story. Yeah. So it's like, that's why I was like saying, like, you need to embrace us. And so I cried so many times, like what I wrote on there, and I see it, and it's spread out. I see the police officers taking their badge, their helmets off and taking things. I'm like, take your vest down. You need to be vulnerable, because that's how it feels. You don't know, are they gonna, that's how we act. We don't know. Like, oh crap, they pulled us over. I don't know why. I feel like I was going to speed limit. I don't know why. And that's why on that example I put on there was like me and my brother, like I've never got pulled over when I had someone that was not black in here, but me and my brother who's darker than me, we get pulled over. And I remember talking to my brother about it too. I was like, I'm in Redlands, which is another little area that we kind of know is kind of,
right.
He pulls me over because of a name badge thing that was hanging from my rearview mirror. I'm like, okay. All right, like I see so many people that has that. How is it? It's not blocking.
Law,
Right. It's like it's not blocking my view. Like, what do you mean can't see? Why do you need to look at my windshield? It didn't make no sense to me. Like, okay, well, I'll take it off. Like, really? I didn't think about it then, but then later I was like, wow, because I'm watching everybody who has it, these lays and everything hanging from the rearview mirror. It just did not make no sense to me.
Absolutely. And I'm sure the interaction only went to that level when they just pulled you over. I think it could have escalated quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to totally sound maybe a little inherently racist or have some type of opinion. It's because of how you guys talk. How you and your voice and what you sound like, how you probably had a conversation with the cop whenever you asked something, he probably thought in his mind, no, they're different. They're not those type of people. They're not those type of
and see,
people
that says a lot right there. Those.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, they're educated or they don't talk.
Right. They're the educated POC. So we can let them go. We'll just leave this as whatever.
And it's funny you say that too, because I'll never forget when I got pulled over for my DUI in Arizona that got dismissed, thank God, and they were white cops. I was acting like an aggressive Negro, okay? I was the aggressive one, but I had a lot of hair, and I don't know if you were seeing with the hair, but I had a lot of hair, okay? It was styled
I've seen you
that way. You've probably seen pictures. I had boots. I just came from a club. And so I'm dressed to impress, and they pull me over. And I was giving them more attitude than they did. They were so nice to me. And they're, white. And it was really interesting to me because I was like, is it because I didn't look like the typical? Because they gave me so many compliments, Max. They were like, oh, wow, your hair. How did you get your hair like that? Oh, your boots are so nice. I'm like, why are you pulling me over? I'm like, what is it? Because you didn't signal. Like, oh, really? And, it was nighttime, so they couldn't see what color I was. But I just know I didn't signal, so they made me nervous. I was like, I was like trying not to go where I went, but I didn't have to sleep in jail. I was so aggressive with them, So it was just interesting.
You were so aggressive because you already were on like the, well, why am I getting pulled over? What did I do? Like,
yeah.
Is it because of, they can see me, all that stuff. Of course,
It was interesting. That experience compared to the other one, like that one, I could understand. They were bored and they had to get something. They were like, oh, you need to charge somebody. Oh, he didn't say. I'm like, really? And then, of course, they said, have you been drinking? Hell yeah, I've been drinking. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, I'm not gonna.
And I read your post, and it's very. You could tell you took your time wording it.
I did.
So people understood. And I have to tell you, like, I love that, but you also have to understand that anyone who is white listening, it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation, regardless. You need to understand that, because I wrote something too after a guy got arrested, like, it's not going to be the easiest conversation to have or the easiest thing for you guys to read, but you have to understand that's the point of it. It's important to get uncomfortable, to know that this is wrong, and why you're getting uncomfortable is the reason it has to change.
Exactly. That's so true. Because Max, I've never been scared to drive. And when I was coming home from my birthday celebration the next day on Sunday, I literally was kind of nervous. I didn't have no hoodie to like hide myself. And I've never, ever been ashamed of myself. Maybe growing up until I finally loved myself. But it was weird. Like I started crying when I was driving home, like nervous, like, like getting anxiety, like I'm driving and I'm just like,
exactly.
I don't want anyone
to see me. It's because you now have another added pressure of like to blend in while you're driving and to not do anything to make yourself stick out,
Yeah.
And that's how can you do that and focus on driving and focus on whatever, when you're supposed to be doing, you have, that on your mind as well.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. That really, I've never been through that ever. And that was the first time I ever went through that. So that was like, I didn't feel safe. I didn't. I'm not going to call the cops because they're not going to protect me. Like that mentality, you see that, and that has happened so many times, and it's like brushed under the rug, and like the whole time. And I'm sure you've seen it where it was, a white guy waving around his gun because he didn't want to be inside, and the police are reasoning with him.
Oh my God! When they stormed, what's that state? Virginia's capital, I guess.
Probably was.
Yeah, it was the Virginia mayor. I think it was the Virginia mayor. I think it's a woman. She like didn't allow them, to get open up early or something like that, because you're still quarantining. So you have to get past the curve, people. Hello, But they're all stormed their capital, their whatever, against the police with their guns, with their fucking whatever, because they couldn't get a haircut, because they couldn't like go sit down on a patio restaurant like and order a beer or some shit.
Right.
Dude, you
like that.
Literally, we're trying to save lives by quarantining and staying healthy.
Yeah, like, exactly. You're out here being dumb,
and now you're gonna storm Capitol Hill with all your guns ablazing, and then these are probably some of the same people who are getting mad that we're sticking up for ourselves, in the Black movement for Black Lives Matter, that now you're getting mad at us. This is ridiculous,
Yeah. Like, just because you can't stand being in the same house with yourself, what does that tell you? Because I found the quarantine as a blessing, because it's, for a lot of people, needed to self-reflect, get creative, and redefine yourself. That's what I was like. I felt like it was a great.
The quarantine from across the board from my end, like that I've seen from my friends and online and whatnot, it's been really great, especially for millennials, really, honestly. We've gotten so much time to reflect and better ourselves and be introspective and look for creativity and find things that, I have one of my closest friends, her name is Misty Meaner. She's a drag queen.
Yeah.
She has rediscovered like her love of makeup and like started doing a whole online series of it's called Replicant, where she's like replicating like odd and weird makeups and whatnot. She like did the Katy Perry ET and like whatnot, and she did Sasha Velour's kooky one-eyed thing.
Yeah.
Like, so she rediscovered her love of makeup. Like this quarantine really like, I mean, it helped hopefully save lives.
Yeah.
Clearly, but also like you get to like be with yourself and love yourself again.
Myself, okay.
literally Pornhub is making you love yourself. They give out the free whatever so you can stay in your house.
That's exactly what I said, and a lot of people are what
nothing.
But I agree with that, because I've been seeing it, a lot of self-reflection, and I'm like, for people who can't handle it, this is your first sign of retirement, so If you can't handle it now, what are you gonna do?
Right.
You know, so it's been really amazing. And what is funny is because I have a title. I always have a phrase for every year. And before I even go into the year, like at New Year's Eve, I'm like, this year is called blank, da 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 da. I've had the year of manifestation. I've had the year of declaration. You know, whatever I declare on my life that year is what's going to happen. And it's funny because this year, and it's so funny how my launch date for the podcast was the 17th of March when lockdown literally happened.
Yeah.
So, because I had planned that in the beginning of January, I was like, I think it's going to be St. Patrick's Day is when I'm launching. And then lockdown. And I'm just like in my mind, like,
Oh my God.
But, yeah. So, and then also, I named this year, this is what I call this year. And I was telling my spiritual brother this. I was like, it's really interesting because it stands so strong now as I see the march among the nation. I call this year the year of now or never. Whether this is the year you are either going to do it,
absolutely,
or it's not going to happen.
Wow.
This is the year for it to happen. And so many things have happened. Like I've been observing. I'm just like, it really is the year of now or never.
Absolutely. I'm like, in the biggest way possible, globally.
Right. I'm like, either we change or it's not going to happen. But this is the year to do it.
Absolutely.
Or COVID,
or I mean, everything. It might not, you know, it might not change by the end of the year, but at least this is the year where it started, you know?
Yes.
This is the year for us to finally be vocal about why we're upset, why we're mad, why we need change.
Right. And for me, it was, you know, just personal, like, yeah, because if I don't do my podcasting, if I don't do my writing, I'm not going to do it. I have to do it this year. This is the year. And so it was personal. But when I think about it as more broad, I'm like, this is literally. You know, it's like, this really is the year now or never, because there's some changes that need to happen. And
it really is.
I pray that it does. I really do believe it will, because it's going to make us look dumb if no change happens.
If nothing comes to fruition.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so important, guys. Go vote.
Please.
Go get your absentee ballot if you're, you know, afraid of getting COVID at your polling station.
Right.
Get your absentee ballot.
I will pick you up. And if you're not afraid, grab your mask. I can fit at least 4 to 5 people in my car. If you want me to lay it down, we can fit a whole lot more. But just, you know, wrap yourself up. Make sure you're clean, because you ain't sitting in my car.
And that is the one message that I've seen, especially here in New York, said from all the speakers that I've heard from, is at the end or the beginning or the middle, or even like 3 or 4 times within, they're saying channel this anger that you have while you're marching and bring it to your polls. You know, elect those people that have your back, that have our best interest in mind.
Yes.
To those positions of power where change can't happen. You know, we are letting our voices be heard, that we are done with how it is. Now we're protesting to letting you know that we're over this. And then the next day we're going to go to this voting station and get you out of power, so we have someone else who's going to fight for me.
Yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for the next person in office. It ain't going to be an easy mess to clean up. I'll tell you that much.
It's going to be,
It's going to be a disaster, but you know, you got the backup of your community of the states. You got all of us backing you up.
Literally the worst presidents in the history of the U.S. It's insane.
Man.
I was going to ask you a question about something, and I forgot what it was. Oh, well. Doesn't matter. I'm sure it'll come to me at some point.
Yes.
You said something about boxes, and like you said something about boxes when you were talking about when I apply for a job, it should just be like my name and whatever. You know what's so funny is that even names are inherent to privilege. Like what happened to me when I got arrested, when I finally got down to, you know, central booking and they got my full name. I'm Brazilian. I was born in Brazil. I was adopted by a Brazilian mom and an American father, so who was born here, who went to Brazil to adopt, you know, their children because my mom couldn't have kids. They adopted me, and then a year later adopted my brother. We're not brother related. And it's funny because my mom she looks like me.
That's cool.
My dad's remarried, but she looks like me. She's like, you know, darker complexion, black hair, where I could see myself in her. But my brother is literally born from 2 German parents who happen to live in Brazil who gave their child up for adoption. So he literally looks like my dad because my dad is Jewish German descent. Yeah. So he looks like my dad, you know.
Wow.
Pale white skin with brown hair and green eyes, like just like my dad. So when they named me, I was Max after my dad's, you know, dad, so my grandfather. Makes Max. Albues is my middle name, which no one ever really gets to hear or use as middle name, which is my mom's maiden name, the Portuguese side. And then Eisenstadt, which is my dad's last name. So it's like I'm a Jew, but I look so brown sometimes. I'm a light brown, you know?
Right.
So then when they got it's Max Eisenstadt, like literally the guy was like, see, everyone is fucking having privilege, you know? And I'm like, hey, I'm going to challenge what you said to the CCRB. Don't worry about that when I get out.
Right.
You're going to get fired.
Right.
And B, like, yeah, I know that I have privilege because I have a Jewish sounding name that gets me into those doors before they even look at my skin. And it's funny that a cop said that because literally a year ago when I had jury duty, they called, you know, put us in a room where we all had to we all stated that we could not go to whatever jury duty. I actually was going to San Francisco for work. Mm-hmm. So I really could not be on this jury. You cannot.
Right.
Whatever. But they called my name and I said, I stood up to go talk with them and said, oh, we said Max Eisenstadt. I'm like, yeah, that is me. You know, they literally made an assumption of what my name could have been.
And what you would look like. Yeah, right.
At the courthouse. So the courthouse made the assumption. This cop made the assumption in Central Booking. Like, it's crazy that those people in the same sphere of, you know, government made a claim about my name before they even knew what it was, basically, you know?
Yeah.
But I fully understand that I have privilege because I do have a white sounding name.
My name too, honestly.
So I know that, you know, I got the door opened up for me for jobs or for colleges when I was applying, you know, all that stuff. Meanwhile, then they read my letter about all the summers I spent in Brazil and whatnot. And that was what my college essay was about.
Name, put them in, you know?
Right, basically. But I also, you know, on the other hand, experienced racism towards me as well because unfortunately my mom passed away. So when my dad remarried to my stepmom Doris, who's from New Jersey, who is white. So when I go back there, it's like I'm literally the darkest person in my family. So when we go out, or you know, there was one time where we had rented a hotel because we were going cross country somewhere, and the hotel people were like, "Oh, what do you need? Where are you?" I'm like, "That's my dad. He's checking in for all of us." And they had to question my dad if I was his son, basically, you know, because they didn't believe that this white family, because my stepsister is also white with my brother, is with me. And I'm like, and you know, we're fucking Ohio or some shit. And I'm like, this is ridiculous, you know? So of course I experienced racism in some capacity.
Because you're different.
Everyone also has a little bit of privilege, and I know I have that too, you know? Yeah. You just have to be aware of it and call yourself out, you know?
Yeah.
And I've done that. And I hope all of you people do that. White, light-skinned, whatever you might have, whether you're even just male, because we are both men. We already have privilege because we're men, you know?
Yes,
so,
very true. Very true. Because women
you know?
Oof, they got it really bad.
Like I said, you know, everyone needs to do their part, whatever they can do for this protest. If you think that this does not affect you in any way, you're sorely mistaken.
Right.
And you are on the wrong side of history.
Yes.
And think about that. You know, you're definitely on the wrong side of history if you have anything that this does not have to deal with you.
Right. Because it has everything to do with you. If you don't want to be categorized in that group who have done the wrong, then take your privilege and make a change.
Because not doing anything is being complacent, and that's backtracking this movement at the same time.
A whole lot. And this is not for nothing. And man, I've really like I told another interview of mine who was an activist, it's like I really educated myself a lot, and a lot of the education was coming from white people, the ones who were speaking out. You know, they were speaking out on the truth, but you know, a lot of people are going to listen to them. You know what I mean? And which is nice because they're using their privilege to spread awareness, knowing that I'm using my privilege because I know you guys are going to watch me and I know you're going to listen because I am white. So therefore, I applaud them for taking their privilege to educate about what has really been going on. They're like, this is wrong. They're not even seen as people. So stop that. They are just like us.
I think it's great that they're doing that and that they're taking to educate themselves about what's going on here. But at the same time, I don't think they try to find line where it becomes white-splaining. And that also is not good for the movement. Because how many times just within conversation with me or whomever, you talk with somebody else who's of a different background than you, you're saying something that I experienced in your life that you experienced for you, that's true to you, and then they referred it back to you, oh, that's like that time when blah, 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 you know? So they already connected to something else that they can relate to when now your experience is already gone because now they're relating it to themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a form of white swing that's not good for this movement. I like that they can use their platform to speak out on things and call out things, but you don't need to overly do it in a sense where now it's just belittling what these people have experienced. Why instead, since you have a platform because you already are maybe a cis white male or just white in general, cis white female, you know, whomever, why don't you bring those people up to your platform and have them say what their experience is and what their truth is, you know?
True.
So you don't have to tell the people what they're feeling, you know?
That makes a lot of sense. I think that shows the partnership. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it shows I am just as equal as this person standing next to me. I'm taking this platform because they have a story. Speak, you know, like, come on.
Exactly. And I wrote about that when I wrote my thing, after I got arrested, I wrote this whole big thing on Facebook. One of the paragraphs was about white-splaining. And I said, just think about, I literally called out white people, like, think about a time way before even the whole Black Lives Matter movement, when you would repost something onto Twitter or Facebook or Instagram of a Black voice, you know? Why did you, and I'm questioning them, why did you post that? Did you post it because you were inspired by that person? Did you post it because that person was a celebrity and he had a check mark and you thought they well, whatever he was saying or she was saying or whatever it may be? Like, do you think that now your part is done because you're now woke and you are, you know, doing that whole thing? No, you already have a platform. I think you need to make sure that you're understanding the Black voice and the Black experience, and you can bring them up to your platform. Because letting them speak is finally giving them a voice that they probably didn't have, you know, back there.
Yeah.
So yeah. And after that, sometimes and this is the hardest, and this is going to be the hardest part, especially for white people. You don't always have to say anything, and you don't always have to have a comeback or something to continue the conversation. You know, or just live with their experiences in your mind and in your head, and then, you know, deal with it. Now you understand it. I literally had a conversation with my friend Ryan. He's a really great guy. He's a white cis male from Long Island. He's gay though, and he made kind of like a self-serving post during this whole Black Lives Matter movement in the beginning, and I texted him personally because I know how he can get. You know, if he feels he's attacked, he like gets all angry and
flipped out. Okay, yeah,
and basically like I'm not the bad guy here. I'm the bad guy. And I'm like, I never called you the bad guy. It just said this post that you posted was a self-serving post and it doesn't really forward the people on the front lines in the protesting. And I think it's all about timing, you know? You literally wrote about, you know, Pride post in the way where I grew up in Long Island and I got called, you know, the F word or a homo and whatnot. And now look at me now. I'm writing for the Hollywood Reporter and blah, blah, blah. Pride. And I'm like, no, this is the worst way to say this post and whatnot, you know? Like, great. I'm glad you moved past it and you dealt with some bullies in your school that called you a homo. I'm gay too. We all have that at some point in our lives. You know what I mean? And that's not prideful. What is prideful, and what you should post about, Ryan, is that you get to be prideful every single day of your life because you're already white. You already have that past to be prideful, where some people in our communities don't have that because of the color of our skin.
Yeah.
And on top, we already have like 2 hurdles we have to fight. You know, that's crazy. And put the fact that you add women to that, or trans on top of that, that's so many hurdles they have to fight where they cannot be prideful 24/7.
Right.
Unlike you, Ryan. You know.
Yeah.
So we get that 1 month for Pride. Why don't you understand how you got to get that pride? You got your pride because of Black trans women that started the Stonewall riots. So why don't you understand that and like give them their truth and give them thanks for what they did?
Yeah. Like, do your education,
Those kind of conversations are definitely hard because you also, you don't want to offend your friends, but
they need to know.
Your friend, but if they're your friend and if they respect you enough, they'll listen, you know? I will say I've defriended a couple people who I've had one-on-one conversation. I don't make it a thing to attack them or have a discussion with them in their social media platforms because I don't want anyone else to put in their 2 cents and then their ideas get misconstrued with mine, and then that person might think that everyone's attacking them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I choose to have the conversations one-on-one if and when I can.
Yeah.
Because you want them to understand the way where it's uncomfortable, but I'm not attacking you. You know, it's just the nature of how these conversations always have to go now, unfortunately. You know?
Yeah.
And some of those conversations didn't go well, and I lost, a couple of friends, and that's okay.
That's what it is.
They're also very stubborn and headstrong, but I can be as well. But I'm also going to kill you with kindness. Yeah. And I had to learn that the hard way. Yeah. But I am going to kill you with kindness while I'm also educating you about something, and hopefully you listen, and hopefully that will sink in because I didn't just yell it at you. I told you in a way where you can understand. It might be uncomfortable and you might be hurt, but I told you because out of love. Because I wanted you to be aware. That's all.
That's right. And it's all about that awareness. Because people just are acting like they want to try to brush it under the rug. This is what happens when you brush it under the rug. It becomes an explosion.
Yeah, it grows. It grows.
I mean, think about it when you're in a relationship. When you do not, and I think I talked on this last week, where you get in an argument and you guys do not settle it, and then you sleep on it, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until one day you just said,
it does build because you're sitting on it, and not only you're sitting on it, but you're also like adding on to it from different angles,
Exactly.
And well, if this happened, then then there's this side, and then you're building on it, and that's not good because then you're already gonna you're trying to create this perfect thing like bomb to attack him, so that he can't, and that's not how a relationship works either,
And this is the ultimate. What happens when it's being built up, and that's my mentality on this whole thing. Is like this is why the explosion.
This is what happens when you keep killing Black people in general, and there's no retribution and there's no justice for it, and it keeps happening over and over again. People are getting overwhelmed and they're tired of it. They're exhausted and they're livid and they're angry. Yeah, of course they're going to explode.
Can I talk to you about something? This is something that I had on one of my shows that I did not put up. It's it's with the race card. I was talking on it as Nacho, so it was a little vicious, but but it was the fact of how America acted with the whole O.J. Simpson thing. This one Black guy, I feel like it wasn't the fact that maybe getting away with murder or whatnot. I think it was the fact that, wow, we actually got away. A Black person got away just like them. It was a huge, it was, what, were you going to say something?
That was one of the hugest, I think I remember coming home from, second grade when that whole court thing was going on. And I remember I was so fascinated because like, why, this is not like a TV show. Why am I not watching cartoons? But like everyone's fascinated to watch just the court case of O.J. Simpson, that America was so involved in it, in its trial. I don't want to make anyone upset here, but I think also the fact that not that he did get away with it, in my opinion, that's my opinion, right. But the fact that the African-American community did not want to see a man who was already given so much for his sport and had done so much for the Black man in the good light when he was in his good graces and playing football, you know, that they didn't want to see that ripped away from him. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I think that's where a lot of Black people's mentality came from, in the side of him that he didn't do it. When all evidence points to, no, he literally did.
Yeah. I mean, and me just standing back where I think maybe vocally we wanted to say that, but I think in another sense, it was like, because you have seen so many of these murders, Ted Bundy, for example, he still doesn't know how many he had killed, you know?
Yeah.
Many women, you know, it was ridiculous. And then
it was years for him until he actually got caught. Years.
Yeah. And then you had lax security, escaping a library. I mean, come on, like, if that was a Black guy, let's be honest, you wouldn't even have carried it out that long. Boom, done. Right. You got the death penalty, whatever. You killed how many white girls? You know, I'm not, not to make it a laughing matter, but I'm just speaking in all honesty. And then what even made it to me when I was watching just that documentary too on Netflix, I was kind of appalled how, and I always take note on when it comes to these certain things of like, who was the majority culture background doing all this. And when outside of his execution, lots of the people that were out there making merchandise for his death, sick. I'm sorry. Yes, he's well owed for that, okay? But you're celebrating as in like, you're selling these T-shirts with him in a chair. I'm just like, and most of them were white doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow.
You know who also made
not to be, but
off of someone they killed, and after they had gotten released from jail, was that cop who killed that 15-year-old boy. It was candy, not a thing. Like, he literally signed, what was it, like Skittles bags that the kid had in his hand that when he unfortunately got killed by the cop. Mm-hmm. He literally autographed Skittles bags and like sold them, and he literally I think he sold the gun that he used to kill the kid to another white man who already had guns, a slew of them, for like $1,000. And on top of that, he sued the family of the kid that he killed for whatever, defamation of character or whatever, some shit like that. But he's suing the family. So literally, like, people are profiting off of the death of Black men. Yeah. It's terrible. What the fuck? And you're putting this family through turmoil again because you're suing them?
Like, why would you? Wow, you took something from them and then you're gonna have to sue them?
Absolutely. That's fucking awful.
There's, I mean, not to be mean.
But our system,
yes,
like,
it's about the system.
Incarcerates Black men for small crimes that white men do and either don't get arrested. We are incarcerating Black men at such an alarming rate. It's disproportionate to the system. It's insane. Mm-hmm. Stuff that should have been labeled as a misdemeanor, stuff that should have been labeled as a fine, stuff that, all this stuff that the white men, they get off of. They get off on their charges, or they go for 3 months for good behavior, for raping a woman behind a dumpster, and not the full 6 years or 6 months or whatever the fuck he was charged with. And meanwhile, even if he was just charged with 6 months, he only got up for 3 months. Why are you only jailing him for 6 months? Mm-hmm. He raped a woman up behind a dumpster. Mm-hmm. Yet alone, a Black man, like, arrested, there was some analogy that I saw. It was like a Black man had he stole like $20 from a cash register at a fucking gas station or some shit. He literally only robbed for $20 and he's in jail for 6 years. The hell is wrong with our system?
Exactly. That, I mean, you have to question when you hear stuff like that. And then you really have to put it to where it is. It really is race.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
And
you guys literally get away with murder.
Unfortunately, because most of our jails and most of our prisons are inundated with Black men or Black women, now COVID happens. You have all the people who are such in close quarantines together. Of course, the minority community is going to be like being killed off first because of the coronavirus. Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
It's all intertwined. It's all a circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Oh, yes. More High School Musical. I'm going to forget that song because I was actually in a play for it. So, yeah.
Oh, see, that's embarrassing.
It's not. Okay, I was a theater kid. Ew.
Listen, I was a musical theater kid too, but I would, no thank you. Miss me with that audition. No thank you.
Oh my goodness. So what else? I mean, we touched on a lot of. We touched on a lot of stuff because these are some topics that needed to be talked about just from individuals like us, because there's so much going on. The ultimate message is equality out there.
Absolutely.
It's down so huge, when it's all and when every individual is seen as equal, we will triumph. There is
America is founded on like the principle that we were a melting pot, literally. But let us not forget, and I cannot stress enough, America is founded on the backs of the genocide of the indigenous people, and then built up by the ancestors of the protesters you see on the front lines. So that is America. That's where America is built and based on. Okay? So we're a melting pot. America is for the people, by the people. If we're for the by people, we're for everybody. So if Black lives are being killed, that's not for everybody. If Black lives are being incarcerated at such a disproportionate amount to the white people, that's not being for everybody.
Yeah.
We have to understand, recognize, and change the system and vote these people into power who are going to have our backs and understand why we're angry and what needs to happen for change.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And change is good when you make it good.
Absolutely. And fight the good fight however way you can. This is for the better, honestly.
Yeah.
2020 is a crazy year.
Yeah. If we just had the mentality like a kid, because they see no color, this would be such a wonderful place to live.
I mean, it's so silly, but the gifs of the kid running to hug his other.
Oh my God, that
is
exactly.
So cute.
And then there was another one that my girl T Boz, she posted on her Instagram where the dad pulled his child inside, and it was like 4 pictures. It was a black and a white always, but they were kids. And what do you see? Like, oh, they're all like friends. And like, what's different with that one? It's a guy and a girl. Those are 2 boys. Those are 2 girls, and then they look like they're gonna kiss. It was really, really cute. Is there anything else? What's different? And he's like, looking. He's like, maybe because there's grass on that one. That one has grass behind them.
So literally, the subject of skin did not come up.
It did not at all. Not at all.
This is also the reason why is nature versus nurture. Racism is taught. It's not inherently. You're not born being a racist. You are taught being a racist.
Exactly. And that's why in my my post I put that too. If we could only have the minds of a child who see no color unless taught otherwise.
Absolutely.
It's like
unless that and that's so terrible because you can already hear these conversations happening about why people are so different and you just made in that kid's mind that now they're the other, and I hate that. And you can hear these conversations happening in your head. Oh, and it's awful.
Because it comes from home. They don't just like, oh, well, you're different. They don't get that. You see kids and, oh, that's my friend. I didn't know I was Black until I was told, It's like, okay, your hair's a little different than mine. Why can't I do my hair like his? You know, it's like, you know, you grow into that, but it's not, it's only ignorant when you're being taught that.
Yeah.
That there's a difference. You know, if you really want to be treat people that like equal, well, you got to treat them how you want to be treated. And if you want to be treated like superior, well, you better treat me like I'm superior.
Isn't that the golden rule? Isn't that the golden rule, right? Treat people how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anybody would get crazy if an officer need their loved one in the back of the neck and kill them.
Absolutely.
I think just another person would react just the same. So, come on, you know, we need to be equal, and let's get rid of this problem of racism with blacks, because it's saddening, and it, you know,
let's get rid of the racism with racism. Let's get rid of the systematic racism that we have. Let's get rid of the police brutality that is already on the mindset of attack when it's not the case. You know, like my friend Marty, who also was arrested that same day with me, he suffered a concussion. He didn't find out till the next day. So literally, he went to bed with a concussion, which, you know, thank God he's alive, because you could have died.
Yeah.
Natasha Richardson, love you.
Yeah.
You know, so he suffered a concussion. Thankfully, I didn't suffer anything worse than, you know, just being brought down to my knees, like, you know, when they took my backpack. But that's what the cops do. They're using these rubber bullets on peaceful protesters, using tear gases on them. You're using like illegal warfare.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
why
are you creating a war in your own
It
country?
doesn't have to get to that.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense why it's you know, why isn't the leader walking with us? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be an example for the people, you need to be walking with, reminding your country. You know,
no, but instead he didn't walk with them. He literally had his men fire tear gas at protesters so he can go up onto like that rose platform to go onto in front of the church just to hold the Bible.
And didn't have it flipped over.
He didn't even sit down. He didn't even talk with the
for
priest.
A photo op.
He didn't anything. For a fucking photo op by himself holding a Bible, dude. It's terrible. This is where our president. This is where our president is. He fucking had them tear gas. So for a photo op, he literally hid underground when he thought the raids were going to be horrible. Like, this is why everyone thinks America is a joke, because of him, literally.
Yeah,
and that's so sad.
It is very sad.
Because we're America. We were one of the world's leading nations, and now we're being led by this idiot. You know. Oh God!
You are the actions you take, and the actions he's taken really just it doesn't show like someone who's trying to understand the people that he's supposed to be for. You know, it's like you're nothing without us. You know that. It's like without us, you have every freaking state, all 50 of them, and so the ball is in your court.
He's never learned that lesson.
Small.
He's never learned that lesson that he is. That he is who he helps around him. He's never learned that because he's never paid the Polish people when they helped build his buildings back in like the 70s and 80s here in New York. He never paid them. He never paid that contractor back for one of his casinos. Like literally, he uses people, doesn't pay them, and expects everything and all the glory in return. Like, you're an idiot. You don't respect those who you work with, then you're never going to gain anyone else's respect.
Yeah. I mean,
but
there's things that
Trump supported, the fucking Trump supported, like fucking Hillary's emails are all the worst. Really.
Right. It's like, okay, moving on, and
right.
What else?
Exactly.
I mean, and the things that they used to say about Michelle Obama, I'm like, you got a Playboy up there. Shut up.
Exactly.
You know, I can Google and see some nakedness, girl, please.
And he's still harassing Obama about his birth certificate.
It's like, why did you hate him so much? Like, that was my problem. Like, why did you hate him so much and peeing in the bed?
Because we want him back. Because we want him back in the fucking White House for a third term instead of him.
Yeah, that's very true. And you know, I'm sorry, you know, Obama. You know, we aged you very greatly.
I honestly thought that if he, I thought about this early in the week, that literally America could be headed for like another civil war if something does not change within the system.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants that. I mean, nobody really wants that. No one wants war anyway. Come on,
exactly.
Let's be real. Especially, you know,
and war does not create peace. That's the truth.
No, it doesn't.
War does not create
war creates more destruction,
yes.
more deaths.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Like, what is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, like, literally, our country could be headed to like a civil war. You know, if something was not going to change, if something was not going to help mend this divide that we have in our nation. You know,
right.
And we have to vote people who are going to bring this together, and it's going to take so long, and it's going to be a hard road to travel to get us all in sync, because we also understand, like, some of these people are just over it, that they don't even want the help anymore, you know?
Yeah.
That they're not even be appreciative of seeing a white man walk up there. From my experience, I've seen like only like a couple of times, but for the most part, they're really, really happy seeing the white people come and protest with us and march with us, you know? Yeah. We have to find people in the government who have these voices to have the power to unify the people. Mm-hmm. You know, put them back together so we can grow as America again.
Yeah.
Betterment of everybody.
We cannot be a united state. We kept separating.
Unity. UNITY.
Yeah. You know, that's what I really stand for with that, because it's, and I keep on saying it a lot, even in my shows or in my posts, is united. Like, it's not all lives matter. It's being united, period. You know, because that whole thing, I had a very interesting conversation with the #all, and it's like, at the end of the day, when you say all, it's only all what you see is all. You know, it's like, no, say what it is, because the reason why we have said it, #Black Lives Matter, is because we don't feel like we're part of the all.
Exactly. Saying it's such a crazy argument to think that because I'm saying Black Lives Matter, they're coming back with all lives matter, because me wanting my own rights, wanting my own selfish. Justice is taking away from any of their privilege already. Mm-hmm. Like, no, and how dare you think that, you know? I want Black Lives Matter because I don't want to get killed, you know, because I don't want to have to think about, you know, how I'm acting, how I'm walking, what I'm wearing, to draw more attention to myself in a negative way from the police, you know?
Yeah.
No, I should not have to worry about those things.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter, period. Yeah. And that's the movement that we should be talking about. Yeah. No one's not denouncing your rights.
Exactly. Sir. No one,
you know, have them.
Exactly.
I'm trying to fight for the equality for mine.
Right. You know, we're just trying, like, can we just stand for this and stop trying to say, well, stop being selfish. Can you not be about you for right now? And that's what it's really about. You know, it's okay. It really we get it, but it's not about you.
They got sensitive. They're getting sensitive, thinking that because I'm trying to fight for my rights, that I'm taking any of their privilege or their rights away. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, I want what you have. Yeah. You know, we all deserve it.
Yeah.
Don't get offended.
Yeah, and I've sat at a table where that was a conversation. Talking, well, all lives matter too. But I loved it because someone else, and I'm the only Black person standing there. But it was nice because they're all Hispanic. And then the other guy, he was like saying, he's like, well, we haven't suffered like they did, though. Let's just think about it. But they have been going through this for years. Like, it is about them. You know, you can say that all lives, but it's about them. It's about them right now. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not Black. And to be honest with you, I'd be scared to be if that was, you know, the case, because what if I do get pulled over? We don't, because we can get away with our skin. Our skin looks lighter than them. You know, he was saying that. He was like, we can get away. We could pass for white. If we, you know, dress up just right, we can bleach our hair.
Or if you talk a certain way, you know, it'll change people's perception of where you think you came from, or, you know, what your truth is, or whatever. You know? It's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's like, we live in a society of a bunch of selfishness, and we need to be more selfless. And I'm just happy that I'm seeing that, you know, in such huge mass. Like, this gives hope. You know, it really gives hope. And the way we're going to make hope become real is vote.
Absolutely. I almost was like, did you get a dog?
Because I saw you like, oh, like that's exactly what.
Vote, people. You have to vote like so hard and go out there in droves to your polling stations and vote, please.
Yeah.
Be the change that you want to see.
Yeah. Tell the truth on that one.
You do what you can in your own way.
Yeah.
You know, support this movement, guys.
Yeah, please do, and we will see a change. We will. We'll just vote. Just make sure this is not for nothing. And
absolutely.
Vote.
Don't let all these things go in vain. You know.
Yeah.
This is really important.
I really like
and understand you're creating history. You're literally creating history right now. You're going to read about this movement into textbooks years from now.
And continue to use the phone.
Hopefully they get it right, though.
Yeah. And continue to use the phone, because that has been the truth. You know, media likes to create their own agenda, but this is the truth. So continue to use your social media and your phone as your platform.
And that's another thing you have to stress is, like, you can't always trust what you see on those media platforms. You have to see it, you know, for yourself, and you have to understand that a lot of that, you know, they're just portraying in a certain way to make you think something. You know, you have to see it for yourself. Correct. Open up your eyes, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
all for it. Well, thank you so much, Max, for
of course. Thank you so much for having me.
This is not going to be the last time, because I know some other things that I would like to talk to you about. I won't even talk about on here while I'm recording it, but
listen, I'm an open book, and I got opinions.
Yes, I do. I know you do. Oh gosh. But thank you so much for taking the time to just collab on some issues that's been going on, and I pray for hope and I pray for change. So. Of course.
Anytime, I'm here for you. And I really hope that we're gonna see a change, and we will. It's just a matter of it's a matter of when, not if. It's a matter of when. So it's great.
And that completes today's Talk About It Tuesday episode on Nacho's Cafe. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next Tuesday for the next TBIT episode. And remember, when you run into a mental wall of personal perspective, talk about it.